We are given a thin cylinder and it has a shell of radius r1 and it is surrounded by another concentric cylinder of radius r2. The inner shell has a total charge of plus q and outer shell has a total charge of minus q. We have to find the electric field at various points. Then we have to find the kinetic energy of an electron if it is placed between the two concentric cylinders at a radius which is equal to r1 plus r2 upon 2. So first of all we will be doing part A, for which r lies between 0 and r1. So we have to draw a cylindrical Gaussian surface whose radius r is more than 0 but it is less than r1 as shown in this figure. You can see this dotted cylindrical surface is actually Gaussian surface. We call this to be Gaussian surface and we draw it by ourselves. The radius of this Gaussian surface is r, and you can see this Gaussian surface is inside the cylinder of radius r1 as well as cylinder of radius r2. Since the charge is placed only on the surfaces of the cylinders of radius r1 and r2, so therefore this Gaussian surface does not enclose any charge. So we can say that since r is less than r1, so the Gaussian cylinder of radius r encloses no charge. That is, we can say q enclosed is equal to 0. Hence by Gauss law, integration E dot ds over the Gaussian surface, you can see this S is the Gaussian surface, so it is equal to charge enclosed upon epsilon naught. And if I put the values of charge enclosed, which is 0 as written here, so this will become 0, and hence the electric field at the point whose distance from the axis of the cylinder is r, such that r is less than r1, will be 0. Let us now solve the second part of the problem. Now in the second part we are to find the electric field at a point whose distance from the axis of the cylinder is capital R, where capital R is greater than R1 but it is smaller than R2. Now this situation can be depicted as in the following figure. Now this cylinder has radius R1 and this cylinder has radius R2, and you can see we have drawn a Gaussian surface as shown by the blue line, this Gaussian surface, and I have given it name as S. So this Gaussian surface has radius r1 which is somewhere in between r1 and r2. You can see this Gaussian surface will enclose this inner cylinder whose radius is r1. So the charge enclosed by this Gaussian surface will be now equal to the charge on this inner cylinder, and as per the problem this charge is given to be plus q. Hence we can now use Gauss law. But before using Gauss law we have to discuss something on the direction of the electric field. Since the charge on this cylinder is positive, it is given to us that the length of the cylinder is very large as compared to the radius. So therefore the electric field, which is always directed away from the positive charge, will be directed radially outward anywhere on the cylinder, whether you draw it here or here or here, anywhere. So the electric field will be directed radially outward. We can use therefore Gauss law, that is integration of electric field over the Gaussian surface S will be equal to q enclosed upon epsilon naught. Now in order to understand this situation in a better way, we have drawn only the Gaussian surface in this diagram. You can see this Gaussian surface S is made from three open surfaces. This S dash, which is circular in shape, this S triple dash, so it is actually S triple dash, so and it is again circular in shape, and this S double dash, which is called curved surface. So we can see that for every point on this curved surface the electric field is directed radially outward, but area vector is also directed radially outward. So the angle between electric field and area vector for all points on the surface S double dash will be 0 degree. On the other hand, for these two surfaces S and S triple dash, the angle between electric field, which is directed radially outward, and the area vector will always be 90 degree, whether it is the surface S triple dash or it is the surface S dash. So we can now break this closed integration into sum of three open surface integrations, that is integration over S dash, S double dash and S triple dash. And we have already seen that the angle between electric field and area will be 90 degree here, 0 degree here, and it will be 90 degree for this surface. So we have, you can see, we have now broken this integration into sum of three open integrations, and the angles between electric field and area are now written here. You can see it is 90 degree, 0 degree and again 90 degree. And the charge enclosed has been written to be Q, because Q enclosed is actually in this case Q, that is the charge on the inner cylinder. So we know that cos 90 degree is 0 and it will be 0 again here and it will be 1 here. So this will simplify to integration over S double dash only E dA, and we can take E outside this integration, and integration of dA over S dash will be actually the area of the curved surface, which will be nothing but 2 pi r and L. This is the area of this just curved surface that we know from the school classes. It will be 2 pi rl. So we put this value of area here. So E into 2 pi rl will be equal to Q upon epsilon naught, and hence the electric field will be Q upon 2 pi r epsilon naught, and L, this will be directed radially outward. Let us now solve the third part of the problem. Here we have to find the electric field at a point whose distance r is greater than the radius r2. Now in this case again we will draw a Gaussian cylinder of radius capital R as shown in this figure. You can see this blue cylindrical surface is the Gaussian surface drawn by us, and now you can see both the cylinders of radius r1 and radius r2 are inside the Gaussian surface. So therefore we can say that the charge enclosed by this Gaussian surface will be equal to sum of this charge and this charge, that is the charge on inner cylinder and a charge on outer cylinder, and hence the net charge will become 0. So if we use Gauss law, then integration E dot ds is equal to Q enclosed by epsilon naught, but the Q enclosed is actually 0. Therefore E dot ds will eventually become 0, or the electric field in this case will become 0 at a point outside the both cylinders. Let us now solve the problem D, in which we have to find the kinetic energy of the electron. We know that whenever something revolves in a circular path, it requires centripetal force. Now in this case, the source of this centripetal force has to be electric force acting on the electron, and this electric force is directed toward the center of the circle, and centripetal force is also directed toward the center of the circle. In order to understand this in a better way, you can see this is the point where we have an electron, let us say E. Since the outer cylinder has charge minus Q, inner cylinder has charge plus Q, outer cylinder will repel the electron and inner cylinder will attract it. Therefore the force on this electron will be directed toward the center of the circle. So therefore this force, which is actually electric force, which we know that is product of charge and electric field, will be actually the source of centripetal force required by the electron. So let V is the magnitude of velocity of the electron in this orbit. This is shown here. And let R, which is equal to R1 plus R2 upon 2, that is the radius of the circular orbit. The electric field at the point where the electron is positioned is actually given by Q upon 2 pi epsilon naught RL, and this has been found already in the part B. So the magnitude of the electric force on the electron will be product of charge on electron and electric field. If we put the value of this electric field here, therefore the electric force will become equal to EQ upon 2 pi epsilon naught RL. Now we know that for circular motion we need centripetal force. So therefore F is equal to mv square upon R. Since the source of centripetal force, as discussed previously, is the electric force, so we can put the value of F from here. So this will become EQ upon 2 pi epsilon naught RL. So this R will get cancelled from both sides. Obviously from this cancellation of R on both sides, it can be understood that the radius of orbit does not have any role to play. The only condition is that the electron must be positioned in between the two cylinders. It can be placed anywhere. The radius of the orbit does not have any role to play in the motion of the electron in this case, because r is being cancelled on both sides. So this will give us mv square upon r equal to eq upon 2 pi epsilon naught L, and we know that the formula of kinetic energy is half mv square. We have already found mv square. We multiply it just with the factor half and we will get the kinetic energy of the electron in the orbit equal to eq upon 4 pi epsilon naught and L. Obviously this kinetic energy does not depend upon the radius of the orbit. The only condition that it requires is that electron must be positioned between the two cylindrical shells. Thank you.